My mother spent 19 years telling me I was lazy. A pediatric specialist proved her wrong in front of 40 people at a wedding. The first time I remember being screamed at, I was 6. My mother was standing over me with a pile of my clothes, furious. I asked you to fold these an hour ago. An hour? I did some of them. You did 4 shirts? 4? What have you been doing? I didn't have an answer, because the honest one, I don't know. I sat down, and time went somewhere, sounded exactly like the excuse she was expecting. She took my bike for 2 weeks. Later, my grandmother found me crying, and I asked her why mom was always angry at me. She just sighed and said, "You have to apply yourself, sweetheart. You know how she is." So, I applied myself. It didn't work. In 3rd grade, my teacher requested a conference. I sat in the hall and heard pieces of it through the door. She's clearly bright, but she can't get started. She'll sit with a blank page for 20 minutes and then panic. We see the same at home, my mother said. We're working on it. Have you considered having her evaluated? She doesn't need an evaluation. She needs to stop being lazy. There's a difference. Afterward, my mother sat me down at the kitchen table. Your teacher thinks something's wrong with you. Is something wrong with you? I don't know. Then start trying. I'm not raising a quitter. I tried. I made schedules I couldn't follow. I'd read the same paragraph 6 times and retain nothing. Then stay up until 2 in a burst of frantic work that produced something decent and cost me the entire next day. I got a 51 on a science exam I had genuinely studied for. My mother looked at it like I'd handed her a wet napkin. You told me you studied. I did. Clearly not. She pulled me out of choir. My sister made honor roll that same week, and at dinner my mother held the report card up like a trophy. This is what discipline looks like. I do try, I said. The grades disagree. At my cousin's graduation party when I was 15, an uncle asked me what I wanted to do after school, and I answered a completely different question. The table went quiet, then laughed. She's off in the clouds again, my mother said. I stopped talking at family events after that. Easier than being the punchline. Then came my aunt's wedding 2 years ago. 40-odd relatives in a hotel ballroom. During the reception, my mother put me on the spot in front of a whole table, asking me to repeat what the best man had just said in his toast. I panicked and got it wrong. Close, but wrong. Same as always, she announced, in one ear. A few people chuckled. I stared at the tablecloth and wished the floor would take me. But my cousin Renata was watching me from across the table with an odd, focused expression. She's a pediatrician. She'd never once talked down to me. After the toasts, she came and sat beside me. Can I ask you some things? Sure. When you sit down to do something you don't want to do, what happens? Nothing. That's the problem. I just can't start. It's like there's a wall. Do you lose whole hours to things you do like? All the time. Do you feel like you're working 3 times as hard as everyone to produce half as much? I felt my throat close. Yeah, she asked about a dozen more. Sleep, losing things, interrupting, whether I'd ever been able to sit through a movie without picking up my phone. I answered honestly for what felt like the first time in my life. Then she stood up, walked over to my mother, and her voice was flat and cold. How long has she gone unassessed for ADHD? My mother actually laughed. She doesn't have that. She's just never applied herself. I've spent 20 minutes with her and she meets nearly every criterion. Inattentive presentation, it's textbook. And it's the kind that gets missed in girls constantly because they get called dreamy or lazy instead of hyperactive. That's ridiculous. But her smile was gone. Has she ever been evaluated? By anyone? Ever? Nobody said anything. Renata's voice rose. The blank page, the forgotten chores, the panic, the 51 after studying. She wasn't refusing. Her brain was not able to do the thing you were punishing her for. And instead of 1 appointment, you spent 19 years teaching her she was defective. My grandmother had her hand over her mouth. My mother had gone blotchy. 40 relatives were staring at her. We didn't know, she said. How were we supposed to know? 1 doctor, Renata said. In 19 years. 1. I looked at my mother for a long moment. 19 years of being called lazy. 19 years of believing I was broken. You didn't want to know, I said. It was easier if it was my fault. I got a formal diagnosis 11 weeks later. Treatment, then therapy for the rest of it. The part where I'd internalized every word. I finished my degree last spring. Renata came to the ceremony. My mother wasn't invited.